Hey guys, it's me again. This is the second lesson of social studies this week, and we continue learning about history and especially the Roman crime and punishment and its legacy. All right, so let me get to it. Sit back and just listen. Right. So guys, what are the objectives for this lesson? What should we know at the end of the lesson? I can understand some of the terms. Sorry, not sure how that happened. I can understand some of the terms used in crime and punishment. So this lesson will very much focus mainly on the vocabulary used during these lessons. So you will be able to correctly match some terms used in the British justice system with their meanings. You will be able to explain some of the terms used in the British justice system. And you will be able to tell some ways in which the Roman justice system has left a legacy today. That's what we're going to be doing in this lesson. Okay, so using that linking brain and connection finding, trying to remember what we learned last time. So I'd like you to think about the following. What were the 12 tables? Who were the legionaries? Why were all the punishments severe? What was the worst kind of crime? Did everyone get punished equally? What was the punishment for burglary? And what was the punishment for singing a song about someone that was not true? Just take a couple of minutes to think about these questions. So after trying to, let's go question by question. I do hope you gave it a thought, and I do hope that you knew answers to most of these questions because it's very important to know and retain in your brain. So what were the 12 tables? The 12 tables were basically the Roman laws. They were written about rights that everyone in the Roman Empire had when it came to crime. They were written in 430 BC, I think. So, who were the legionaries? Legionaries in Britain were people who would look for criminals. Okay, so if someone was accused of crime, it was down to the legionaries to find them. Whereas in the Roman Empire, the people had to bring this guilty or supposedly guilty person to court. Why were all the punishments severe? If you remember, the punishments were all severe because they wanted to deter people from committing a crime. And the worst kind of crime, if you remember, was rebelling against the emperor, not following him, not worshipping him, just anything against the emperor was the worst kind of crime, punishable by death. Did everyone get punished equally? If you remember, absolutely not. If you were a slave, you had the worst kind of punishment. But if you were a noble and had money, you could have paid and you could have gone into exile instead. And for burglary, it was the amputation of your limbs. So they would cut off either your legs or your arms, okay? One arm or one leg. And what was the punishment for singing a song about someone that was not true? This was called libel. So the punishment for that was, if you remember, the execution for that was the punishment for that was execution, which means they would publicly kill you in front of others in very horrible ways. Or if you were rich enough, you could buy an exile for that. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Guys, just a little recap. This is a bit of meta thinking, okay? Remembering, okay, what I learned last time and what I remember. So severe means very strict or harsh, very severe punishments for crimes, deter, to try to stop something happening. Crimes were severe to deter people from committing crimes. Rebel, to resist or not follow the orders of the person in charge. So rebel against the emperor if you're not listening to him or if you don't follow him, worship him, whatever. Exile is to be sent away from a country you live in and not being allowed to come back. Arson Okay, if you remember, committing an arson, that's deliberately, on purpose, setting fire to a building, to a property. Okay, and libel is to damage someone's reputation with false information. So if I'm going to sing a song about someone, like I'm going to say they are not a nice person and they maybe stole from me and it's not true, that is libel. Okay, I'm going to damage their reputation and I was lying at the same time. Okay. All right, just a bit more into the Roman crime and punishment system. So the terrible punishments that existed in Roman times do not exist anymore. However, there were lots of ideas that the Romans started that are still sorry, there were a lot of ideas that the Romans started that are still used in the British justice system today. These are the use of a court, judge, jury, and lawyer. Okay, what are these? First of all, justice system. What is a justice system? It is the way in which a country decides how to punish criminals and make sure that the law is followed so that people are kept safe. So justice system is like a whole system of laws and how people are going to be punished for crime. Okay, every country in the world has a justice system, their own system, how they punish crime. Legacy. We've been talking a lot about the Roman legacy and what legacy, um, um, what was the Roman legacy in Britain? So what does it mean, legacy? Legacy is something that is left behind by something or someone that was there before, okay? So let's say the Romans came to Britain. Britain did not have a justice system, but the Romans put a justice system in place. After the Romans left, okay, the British continued using the Roman justice system. So this was the legacy. This was what was left behind by the Romans. Despite they left the country, their legacy was that they left the justice system there, okay? So legacy is something left behind after someone left. And a lawyer is a person who will give evidence about matters of the law. So let's say I am taken to court, okay, and I want to defend myself. Someone accused me of a crime. I will hire a lawyer, okay, who will try to convince the judge, okay, and the jury that I am innocent. He will give evidence about my innocence, that I'm actually not guilty, okay? So anyway, guys, if someone asks you what was the Roman legacy, okay, it was the justice system, okay, that they left in Britain, especially the use of court, judge, jury, and lawyer, okay, these four. They are here on this side of the page. It's very important that you know this. You could possibly write this down in your notebooks, okay? So until today in Britain, people use court, judge, jury, and a lawyer. And this is the Roman legacy. It was the Romans who brought these or this system to Britain a long time ago. Anyway, in Roman times, the victim of the crime had to bring evidence to court to show what had happened. If they had enough money, they could pay for a lawyer to help them. If it was a serious crime, a jury would decide whether that person was guilty or not. If it was a minor crime, a judge would decide. In present-day Britain, the use of a court and a trial still happens today. However, everyone has the right to a fair trial. This means if a person cannot afford a lawyer, the government will pay for one to help, or the government will help pay the cost, okay? So the Roman legacy from Roman Britain was the legacy that they left behind is a justice system with court, judge, jury, and a lawyer. You may be asking who is a judge and what is a jury? So a judge is the main guy in the building in the court who finally decides if the person is guilty or not. Whereas a jury is a group of people who help the judge decide, okay? It's like a group of advisors for the main judge, okay? The difference between the Roman system of crime and punishment or justice system and today's justice system is that obviously people don't get their limbs amputated, people don't get executed or killed publicly in public place. So the system of punishment actually changed a lot. Okay, guys, what is going to be your task? Your task is going to be very easy. Task number 1, you have the crime and punishment vocabulary, you have pictures, you have meanings, pictures have names of the words, you just have to match the words to their meanings. You can print this out, match them, okay, and take a picture and upload on Dojo. Guys, only this first worksheet is to be uploaded on Dojo, okay? If you cannot print this out, just write down the vocabulary words and copy their meanings, okay, into your notebook and take a picture. The second one, you need to sort these vocabulary words into groups, okay? So you need to sort them into people, crime, and punishment, okay? Now, what HCPs will be using in this? First of all, meta-thinking, metacognition. We will think about questions such as, did I do something like this before, matching words to their meanings? How will I know the meanings? Okay, you will need to figure out how or where will you find the meanings, which is pretty simple. And what do I remember from the lesson in general? And critical thinking. Can the evidence from the information provided in this lesson help me sort these vocabulary cards? Okay, will I manage with what's included in this lesson, or okay, and how will my knowledge help me solve these or complete this task? All right, guys, regarding the second activity, the answer key is provided. That's why you will only be uploading the first one. However, please do make sure that you do this before you actually look at the answer key. Actually, it's really easy. And I really think that like most of you will get it right. And then when you look at the answer key, you will find that you did everything right. Okay, just at the end of the lesson, a couple of things to think about. First of all, which of the punishments still happen today? Now we're going to practice a bit of intellectual confidence, actually trying to express our own opinion. Why do you think it's different now? Did the Romans have a fair system to punish people? Think about the difference between whether you were, think about the difference between if you were a slave or a noble. Okay? So which of the punishments still happen today? That's a bit of big picture thinking if we think about it. Couple of the punishments, if you go back, still happen today, such as paying fines or paying money for certain crimes. And certain crimes are still punishable by death, okay? Why do you think it's different now? I would love to hear your opinions, but I think if we critically think about this, it's different now because people have different lives, people have different jobs, it's a completely different kind of society. And the Romans definitely did not have a fair system to punish people because it's unfair to punish people based on whether they have money or not. And yeah, so, and it's, you know, if you are born into a slave family, it's not really something you could have chosen. So I think that was extremely unfair. But anyway, that's it. Looking forward to seeing your work and see you next week.